Let's Get Real podcast, and your hosts are Ned Burwell
and Lisa Burwell.
So today's topic is approval versus our soul's truth. And I think this has been a topic for me because throughout my life I've been very insecure, and that insecurity has caused me to do a lot of things. Like I think it caused me to overwork, to be an overachiever, and to constantly need praise because I didn't feel good enough about myself.
I don't know a single person that can't relate to that. And I think the times that we're moving into now, it's become more and more relevant for people. I personally, I came to this not feeling good enough as well through my childhood, through my upbringing, like many people. Everybody's is different.
That's right, and for me, my lack of self-esteem, there was this big component about my weight, my size. I always felt insecure about that. Insecure that I wouldn't ever find a partner, and with the lovely Lisa.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we definitely all have our motives, and they play out differently. So mine played out through relationships that were, each one was a little bit better than the one before it, but they were just, it wasn't my truth. I was learning my truth. It was unraveling through the years.
That's right.
But I really wasn't conscious of how to listen to my soul. I had no idea even what that meant.
That's right. And my need for approval was, if I look at why did I need approval, I think a lot of that too is I lack confidence. I lack confidence that I could navigate myself through any endeavor I chose to get involved in. And I think a lot of people think that confidence is something that we need going into something. But the reality is that I think we're stronger than we realize, and by leaning into what makes us feel vulnerable and into things that we're not already confident in, that we sort of eliminate that need for approval.
That's a great point. Yeah, I've learned so much from you just in our time together in our relationship. We're going to talk about relationships, another subject, because there's lots of layers to ours. But I've definitely learned that you don't have to, you just have to step into the moment, right? Mm-hmm. And what you need comes. And don't feel bad, because I'm still learning this every single day. I still feel insecure in many ways.
Well, I think there's times where I even still seek that approval because I'm not feeling confident enough in myself. And when I look at some of my greatest strengths, they started out being vulnerable. They started out with a lack of confidence. But in the act of doing, I became more confident. And sometimes our confidence is just a mindset. Mm-hmm. It's just a willingness to stand up and say, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do this thing that I want to do.
It's amazing how many little ideas that we collect throughout our lives since we were kids, we're not even aware of, right? That feed into that. And I think if anyone can do all of these things, why can't we?
That's right. Last episode we were talking about listening to the heart and being brave enough to follow that. And I think this episode sort of ties in with that episode as well, because so how do we get to a place where we don't need acceptance? Mm-hmm. Like, what do you think that we need to do in our lives to kind of abolish that need for acceptance?
Don't look outward anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Just I'm just starting out on this journey with that too, more authentically, and mine is, the answers are coming from inside. I just absolutely can't look outward. Mm-hmm. Because I'm automatically worrying about being judged, or I'm rating how somebody feels about me, or I'm so attached to the outcome that I'm not really living my truth. I'm not hearing it.
That's right. And I think that we get a little bit too concerned about what will my parents think.
That's a huge one.
If I do something, will they still accept me?
Yeah.
Will they accept what I want to do? And I think sometimes the relationships that we're in, whether they're friends, family, or partners, we sometimes stop ourselves short from doing the things that we really want to do, doing what we know that the soul wants to do. We stop ourselves short because we think, well, then I would be different, or maybe I would be criticized. So that need to be accepted, sort of keeps us in this safe zone. But it's not really that safe, and nor is it comfortable. Years ago, I wanted to become a tattoo artist, and I remember having conversations with my father, and at the time I was working in the factory, and he said, Ned, just hang on to that factory job. That's a guaranteed,
I remember the story.
Stable paycheck. And if I had held that job, I would have held myself back. I knew that my soul's truth would be found and discovered and explored through becoming a tattoo artist. And that was my deep inner truth. I knew that was something that I had to do. So had I have needed my father's approval, which it meant a lot to me.
Oh, I
it,
know.
it meant a great deal to me what my father thought.
He was a wise man, right? That would be hard.
He was extremely wise.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with needing approval is that if a friend or a family member can't see themselves doing the thing that you want to do, they'll be afraid for you. They'll say, oh no, you can't do that. And really what they're talking about is their own limitations.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They're just talking about themselves. So there's a lot of times that our friends or family will hold us back and just give us their approval and they think that they're doing us a service. They think that they're maybe keeping us safe. But in reality, what we're doing is we're squishing our soul's truth.
Yeah, and I just want to add that we're at such an advantage right now with the way the energy has changed, with the way consciousness has opened up since our parents' time growing up and their parents' time. They didn't have the permission that we have today to live out our truths, right? There was, I don't know, it felt more suppressed to me. Maybe in some areas, maybe not in others, but that was definitely prevalent, right?
That's right. And what is soul's truth? I'll throw this at you first, Lisa. What is our soul's truth, and how do we find it?
I feel like it's different for each person, and so we can't watch other people. It's just uniquely given from God or from Source, if you want to call it that. It's our purpose in this incarnation, in this life cycle, to live that out.
I think that's a great point. It's our purpose for us to live out. So our soul's truth is a deep inner knowing.
Yeah.
It's an inner knowing that resides within us that we can never get away from.
It's the knowing that you have, or if you're not listening to other people, right?
And I think when we do get away from what our truth is, life gets uncomfortable.
That's a good sign, though, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, like for me, when I stayed working in the factory, like my father wanted me to, the longer I stayed there, the more uncomfortable I became, because I wasn't living my truth. So this is a good point for anyone watching today. What has caused you to become intolerant? What routine or what's going on in your life that you just can't tolerate to do any longer? And maybe it's because your soul's truth is trying to tell you that is over for you. It's time to move on. We instinctually know what it is that we're supposed to do. But what clouds it is the mind. The mind gets very insecure.
We can justify being uncomfortable for years. I'm probably the biggest one that has done that with my patterns.
Yeah.
Things that I fear, playing small. We all have our reasons why we do that, but
nothing shuts down my truth faster than the fears in my mind. Mm-hmm. The fears that I hold in my mind, my insecurities, will shut down my truth more than anything. So I think if you're searching for your truth, I think it's important that you don't go to your mind to find it.
Yes.
That you become quiet. Mm-hmm. You listen. Yeah. Get really still. Listen. What are you naturally drawn to? What makes your heart sing? So say you're working at a factory. We've been using factory. Say you're working at a factory, but when you work on cars, your heart just sings. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's time to go and start working towards being a mechanic. Who knows? But your soul's truth is in you. And what makes you light up, what makes you get excited about the day, is probably your soul's truth. Now, I also want to add, just because we find our soul's truth, it doesn't always mean that that's what we're going to make our living by. And sometimes I think we get that mixed up.
But it doesn't mean it's not an important step on the journey. That's crucial, and Spirit knows that, right?
That's right.
Yeah, it's that little whisper that maybe you're going to meet somebody very important that's going to help you with your journey, and maybe that's just a stop for a month or something. And
yeah, exactly. And I think what stalls us from actually starting to move forward in our truth is that we sort of build up all these ideas. So say I want to become a photographer, and mm-hmm. but I'm going to wait until I can buy a $10,000 camera. And we don't take any pictures, we don't study photography until we have enough money to buy this professional camera. Mm-hmm. I think that's sort of it's a way that we postpone our purpose. It's a way that we sort of deny our truth, and it's a way that we move away from our truth if we postpone what we think we need to do. So if you want to be like a photographer or somebody who makes videos and puts them online, a social influencer, start wherever you're at. Mm-hmm. I think that's a very important point to make, because more often than not, people tell me, they'll say, because I've written a handful of books, Ned, I'd really love to be a writer. So I'm like, pen and paper, it's free. You know, they may have this idea, well, I need a laptop, then I need all these other things to start. I say, if it's your soul's truth, let nothing get in the way. Start wherever you're at.
It's kind of sneaky that something sneaky can happen inside us where we'll even use the experience we're having with our family members. We'll have these boundaries or these restrictions in place so that we can't live out our soul's truth, right?
That's right.
We use them sort of at their excuses. We might even feel like that's something terrible and it's really happening, but it is, like you said, we're just prolonging it.
Mm-hmm. We'll keep postponing our what we know that what we truly want to do forever. We'll continuously postpone it. We'll always find things that are in the way so that we don't have to be courageous enough to step into it. So, you know, we'll make up ideas like, okay, well, once the kids move out, then I'll start doing something. Mm-hmm. Or once, you know, I have a pet, so I'm really tied down and I can't do that right now. I always say baloney. You can do whatever it is you want to do. Just start wherever you're at. Start basic. Start humbly.
I know you even try to talk to me about driving in this, because if anybody knows me, they know that I have a fear of driving. Even though I love driving, there's something and there's so many things I want to do, and they just feel out of reach because of that restriction. And some things are easier to sort of move through than others. That would be a tough one for me. I'm doing this, along with everyone, for everyone, with you, Ned, to try to help figure out my stuff too. And that would be one of them. We'll see how things go through our talks, if I'm able to move that at all.
Yeah, let's get Lisa driving challenge.
Oh man.
We'll do the podcast. She'll be driving and I'll be videoing.
See, you can't fake that, eh?
Yeah, and if it ends in a crash, you know, the ratings for that show might just go through the roof.
Our friend Beth is so courageously offered, like your mother and a few others, to be there beside me either way.
Great.
Risking their life. Yeah.
Well, maybe they can hold the video camera. I'll just sit that one out.
You see there, if you're willing to be vulnerable, there's oftentimes a lot of support for whatever we're trying to achieve in this life, right?
Mm. So to sum it up, don't be afraid to follow your heart, to listen, and just go for the things you want to do. Don't let what you think somebody will think of you stop you short from listening to your soul's truth. Don't wait for approval. Sometimes while waiting for approval, you might just miss the opportunity to be you. Alright guys, thanks for watching.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it. Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Take care.